the only thing that we have against them is conversation. I do strongly believe that the government have done this on purpose. Fall vibes. Okay, hey everybody. No one is as excited about this as I am. Like, I'm gassed up. I don't have everything prepared for this podcast episode. I mean, you're literally balancing on a table, an elephant, and then 3 books. Don't ask. We're literally in my living room, y'all. But I'm just like, actually, I don't care. Do you know what I mean? Like, I could have waited until like I have a mic, I could have waited till I have a tripod, till I get some like lighting, but first of all, that is all money I don't have. But also that's like not why I'm doing this, you know? Like, I'm not even, at this point, like, I'm not even creating to have an audience. I'm actually just so sick of it. Like, I'm exhausted. Like, I'm so tired of feeling like I have all of these things that I need to say, I need to tell someone. Like, there's a lot of conversations that a lot of people would agree. It's kind of like a known rule. If you're having just a like service level chat with your friend or something, you don't really touch on those topics. Like, is there a God? What happens after we die? Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like if I brought up certain things that I think about all the time in general conversation, there would be a bit of like oh, that's a bit deep. Like, well, like, we need to talk about that. Yeah, actually we do. Yeah, actually we do. The topics that we avoid, like, with our whole chest, those are the topics we need to be talking about. And I would also push further and question, why do we avoid these topics? Does it make you uncomfortable? Because if it makes you uncomfortable, that usually means there's something going on there that people aren't talking about. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Anyway, before we get into the topic of today's episode, of the first episode ever, guys, I'm actually gassed. What am I up to recently? Okay, here's one thing. I'm actually living alone at the moment. Maybe not a very smart thing to be putting out on the internet. Actually, when this is posted, I don't think I will be. Oh yes, I will actually. I will currently. Oh my god, wait, Lola, you shouldn't say stuff like that on the internet. Okay. Whatever. I don't care. But I'm actually also making my own sourdough at the moment. She's a farmer girl now. Well, I'm sitting in my dungarees. My dad, bless him, made the starter for me, but I've been babysitting her. I'm gluten-free, obviously, so he's made the family sourdough starter that we had before, but he kind of had to revive it because it was like sat in the back of the fridge for months and disgusting. I'm making my own sourdough. I'm living alone at the moment, which I've actually been really enjoying. I've even forgotten to like talk to my parents, which is quite sad. For me, not for them, because they're on a diving boat for a month in Indonesia, in the Indonesian Ocean. So I don't really think they're missing me much, but I've been living alone and it's been so fun. I'm like driving myself everywhere now. I got my driving license a little while ago. Third time lucky. I have 4 jobs at the moment, guys, so that's why it's taken me so long. Jasmine, if you're watching this, which I hope you are because you were nagging me, that's why it took me to the 1st of November to launch this episode, because I'm literally I'm working 4 jobs and trying to boost my money. So this is another big project I should not be taking on at the moment, but like I said, I have a lot of things I need to talk about. It's not about an audience for me, it's not about creating or being an influencer. I could not give less of a shit about that. It's actually just, I feel like there are some things that people are ignorant to, and if I can be the person, even for like 5 people, even for 1 person, if I can be the person to make information more accessible and make it easier to understand, rather than like hearing someone have a tangent and thinking, oh, conspiracy theorist, and like blocking that out and scrolling on TikTok. Like, instead of having that kind of pattern, which I think a lot of people can relate to, I just want to be that person to lay out all the facts, give you my opinion, and you can like make of it what you will. So that's kind of my goal with this. Also, you can probably tell I love to chat. I love talking, and I figured I should put my gifts to use, shouldn't I? I've got my pumpkin as well. Autumn, fall vibes. Today I kind of wanna, for the first episode, just jump into a topic that terrifies me. I didn't want to have this as the first topic because it's not a very positive conversation. I don't know, it's so dystopian actually. Talking about like AI and ChatGPT, character AI, it's not something I welcome, but we're gonna spin it and we're gonna talk about it in a different way today. I am baffled at how quickly AI has become normalized. Like, what in the dystopia are we living in? Like, I'm not kidding. And actually, I'm not surprised that it's become a thing. I am actually just quite concerned at how quickly people have just been like accepting it in their daily lives. So what surprises me is that there's been very little pushback on AI. There's been such a just acceptance of it, and it's kind of disappointing, really. But do you remember like when we were younger, like I remember saying when I was younger, oh, we're gonna have flying cars when we're older, we're gonna time travel, everything's gonna look like a sci-fi movie. Like I was fully convinced as a child that when I was like 20, do you guys know, like, this might be like a niche reference, my nerd is coming out a little bit, but you know Guardians of the Galaxy, you know Xandar, like the city in Guardians of the Galaxy, you know Xandar, when they like walk in and it's like, it looks kind of like Avatar mixed with like a metropolitan city. Like, it is very like futuristic sci-fi, but also like there's a lot of nature. Like Xandar, if I just put a little picture here, this is literally what I imagined our world looking like when I was like 20. Like by the time I got to 20 years old, I imagined we would be living like that, in flying cars and like living in like Star Wars. And I am now, stay with me guys, but I am now fully convinced that those fantasies were fed to us to distract us from the actual future that's been like waiting behind the curtain and been being prepared. Because I don't think people are aware that the government and, you know, the people that are running our countries do not work like a police investigation might work, you know? Like, they'll come up on press, the police, like, chief will come up on press, there's been some kind of accident, and they'll say, as soon as we get information, we'll release it to the public. So everyone stays informed, everyone stays updated, and you guys are just as aware of everything as we are. It doesn't work like that, okay? It doesn't work like that. Even with police, it doesn't work like that. They just say things like that to give you this, like, false sense of security. But actually, things that are being released now, they're like, oh, we've just discovered AI can do this, and we've just discovered, like, there's this new way of living your life with convenience, you can be lazy. Like, these things that are being invented have not been invented in the past like month, or in the past, even in the past year, even in the past 2-3 years. Like, these are things they have known about and been using and interacting with for a long time, and it's only now that they are starting to slowly spoon feed us things like AI, digital ID, character AI, where you can literally have a relationship with a human-like robot so that you no longer have to go out and socialize and get married and have children, because that's not what they want. They want you to be isolated, and they want you distracted and weak and alone. Oh my god guys, I'm already getting into it. Okay, slow down, I can't laugh yet. Oh my god, I actually cringe myself out sometimes. Cringe is subjective, I think, actually. I really am convinced that these are all things that they've known about, and it makes sense that they have known about the things that AI can do. They know what AI can do and is capable of to its extent. I do believe that. I don't think that they're just discovering things or they're just developing things like in recent times. It's just a ploy, and it's just almost like it's a conversation that they're having with us. Like, oh, did you know that we discovered AI can do this? Do you want to try it out? And then like let us know what you think. Like, it doesn't. That's what they want you. They want you to feel secure in that and feel like we're living in this utopia, but actually they will do whatever they need to do, and I mean it, like they will literally go to the ends of the earth to have power, and to have power over us, over our land, over what we choose to do with our lives. There is no extent that the government will not go to keep control and to continue gaining control over us. So the only thing that we have against them is conversation. The only thing that we have is strength in numbers and autonomy over our emotions, how we react to things. That is the only thing at the end of the day that you personally have control over. The world could end tomorrow. All of your family but you could die. Your friends could turn on you. You could get cancer. Your dogs could get rabies and start, like, I don't know, eating you. Like, that's like a really ridiculous example, but like literally anything. Your whole world could crumble like that, and you have the power to decide how you react to it. I don't know, maybe you're in a relationship and tomorrow your boyfriend breaks up with you. I understand that's a very difficult situation to be going through, but you have the power to decide how you react to situations, whether it's your whole family disappearing one day or you stub your toe. You know, like, you do not have control over anything in your life. You don't have control over where you're going to go to school, what university you're going to go to, whether you're going to pass this degree, what degree you're going to do. You don't have control over that. Maybe the degree that you want to do just becomes like not a thing anymore. Maybe the year that you sign up to do this degree in university, they say, sorry, we're actually cancelling that program. You don't have control over that. You do have control over how you react to it, however. This is my point. Like, we need to stop arguing over right versus left and, you know, vaccine versus anti-vaxxers, or immigration versus deportation. Like, these are actually just distracting conversations, and they are taking your attention away from what we actually need to be talking about, which is not right versus left, it's good versus evil. And we have strength in numbers. We have strength because the government are meant to be serving us. We are not meant to be serving the government. We are not meant to be abiding by their will. We are living in a democratic country where we get to decide who rules over our land, who rules over and governs our states. We get to decide that. And you get to decide that and voice your opinion by exercising your right to freedom of speech and your right to have conversation. And the second that we stop having conversations with each other, that is when violence happens, okay? Because you stop leaning over the political aisle and you stop understanding your neighbour, and that is when opinions are skewed and judgments are exaggerated, things become hyperbolic, you fill in assumptions and you fill in like little gaps in facts with your feelings, which does not, that's not how it works. Like, fact is not feeling. Like, feelings are not facts and facts are not feelings, okay? You have to be able to detach your feelings from what the fact is, okay? And the fact is, the government will never do anything in your favour. Let that sink in. okay? There's actually this really lovely quote that I do live by, and I'm not sure where I heard it from. I think, do you know what, ironically I think I heard it on TikTok, which I am disgusted to be admitting, but that shows that this comment, this like quote I live by, is timeless, because I actually haven't had TikTok for about 3 years, I think, and I still live by this quote. The next time you think the government wouldn't do that, yes they would. And it is literally just as simple as that. I think when bad things happen, or when someone has to be responsible for something, someone has to take accountability for something, our immediate instinct is, oh well, the government wouldn't do that. Like, the government are there to help us, the government are there to keep us safe. Yeah, they are. That doesn't mean that that's what they're doing. I'm really gonna try mostly to not input my opinion until like we get through all of the facts, but I am not the biggest fan of Rishi Sunak. However, Rishi Sunak was right when he said, if you vote in Keir Starmer, if you elect the Labour Party, they will make it so you can never vote them out. And I strongly believe that. I mean, he ate when he said that, because that is literally what's happening. That is what's going to happen. And that is a little bit scary, guys. So we should be paying a little bit more attention to what is going on in our country. I can't imagine, like, I can't actually imagine telling my younger self, oh sorry, we won't be having flying cars, and we won't be like releasing animals from captivity or ending homelessness in our country or anything, but we will have artificial intelligence that's capable of impersonating human life and forming relationships with people. Oh, and facial recognition in all of our security cameras that pull up like every single detail about your life and what you've been up to. Oh, and don't worry about needing privacy, because we're going to have possibly 61,000 satellites scanning every square inch of Earth 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you will literally be monitored 365 days of the year. Every single second will be monitored and on video. Doesn't really matter where you go, the government will just always know what you're up to. So there's no need to really have to worry about having privacy, because you will never be able to have privacy no matter what you do, essentially. Not to mention that stores and businesses have literally every right. There is no law against refusing to serve you if you pay in cash. Did you guys know that? Because I didn't know that until recently. A store, even if they do take cash, like I know it's very just popular, normal now for like people to be contactless only, and they do have to advertise that, but they have every right to deny your cash, your hard-earned physical cash that is a actual currency, a respected, like literal tangible currency in our country. They have every right to just refuse to serve you if you won't pay contactless, which means eventually either people who do not have smartphones can't pay contactless, people who get their wages in cash, because that is still a thing, you'll either be left behind and, you know, you just won't be able to buy anything ever. Because I do strongly believe, even though, you know, everyone's saying it's not going to happen, I strongly believe that our country will become cashless in a couple of years. Like literally in a couple of years. I think maybe max by 2030 our country will be cashless. So you can either get left behind and like no longer to buy food, buy utilities, pay your bills, all of that kind of stuff, or you have to keep your money on a system that you have to entrust this online system that you don't actually really completely understand yourself anyway. Entrust that system with all of your money that you've earned, meaning the government will also be able to control what you can or cannot buy and how much of your own money you're entitled to. So you won't have flying cars, but you will get zero control over your own autonomy. Lucky you! Looking forward to 2030, guys. Really looking forward to it. So I'm sure we're all aware of what character AI is, and if you're not already aware, I can give you a little gist. Character AI is a chatbot platform that uses artificial intelligence to generate human-like responses, allowing users to create and chat with custom characters based on fictional or real people. Users can build their own characters with unique personalities or interact with characters created by others in the community. This service is popular for its customizability. So right off the bat, my immediate thought is, it's no wonder Gen Z have become so lonely. We have been known as the lonely generation for quite a while, because if you can do all of that, you can customize and create and generate a artificial relationship with something that you literally can basically build your own boyfriend, build your own girlfriend, build your own husband, wife, partner, whatever, and have them respond to you and validate you and answer in ways that you see fit. Why even date? Do you know what I mean? It makes so much sense. They've made it so easy for everyone to literally live their lives off of one device. You can now make money off your phone. You can buy food off your phone. You can have a relationship on your phone, not even with someone on the other side of the phone. You can literally just have a relationship with your phone. You can pay your bills through your phone, all of that stuff that's kind of normal. But then adding in the fact that you can literally marry AI. There is a woman who literally got married to her AI husband, and I don't really want to talk about that or give that I don't want to give that situation light any more than it already has had, because I think that she's obviously very mentally not well, and I don't really want to make light of a situation like that, or kind of trivialize a situation like that where that woman obviously needs help. So but it's a very good example of, you can literally just live your life through your phone. Why even leave your bed? You know? Why even leave your house? If you can create your own boyfriend, it makes so much sense. That Gen Z have just become so, first of all, unable to socialise, and I think that COVID had a big impact in that. This is what the government do. They create a problem, isolating everybody, and then we'll bring you a solution. We see it time and time again. They'll create a problem and they'll bring the solution, and that solution is inherently malicious. Character AI is not a solution, okay? It's a temporary band-aid over loneliness and people craving, tangible relationships. And that's actually the topic that I want to get onto in our next episode about Gen Z. Because I think that Gen Z are such a strong and important generation, and I really think that we could be the turning point and the tipping point for society, or we could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. But I want to get onto that in our next episode. Basically, why go seek human connection when you can talk to a fake human on your phone and customize them to validate every feeling and talk exactly how you want them to? Character AI has official terms of service stating a minimum age of 13 or 16 for EU residents. However, there are no age verification features if users lie about their age. So I went onto the Character AI website. You don't even have to, it's not even like adult websites where you have to confirm that you're 18. Even if it's just ticking a box that you're over 18, there isn't even that. You can open up the website and it's all there, and immediately it's all just bang bang bang, things trying to draw you in. It's just very weird. It's almost like a dating app, but with robots. That's how it is advertised. It's so weird. The App Store lists it as 17 plus, so if you get that app, obviously it will have the rating as 17 plus, and it will tell you why, and it's got this string of reasons why it's 17 plus, and we don't even need to get into them. Some safety organisations advise against use for children under 16 due to potential risks and controversies. I advise against using it to all ages. not just under 16s. I advise not to touch character AI ever for anyone. I only want to touch on character AI, but I do think it's relevant because we have literally become slaves to technology. That also brings me to ChatGPT, which is an AI chatbot developed by OpenAI that generates human-like text to hold conversation and complete tasks, such as writing code, composing emails, and answering questions. It's based on the company's large language models, which are trained on massive amounts of text data from the internet to learn patterns in human language and predict a reasonable continuation of any text it is given. That should scare you. This company have basically done an experiment on all of us, taken tweets that have been posted. This is public things that are, you know, available to everybody. They haven't had to go into anyone's data to find these things. Tweets that have been made, Reddit threads, the way that you interact on a Wikipedia page. Like, they've taken these conversations that you have and used that to develop AI so that it sounds and talks and interacts with you the way that a normal human would. And it will pick out the way that you specifically interact with it and morph and shapeshift to become something that can retain your attention. I think it's also important to note, while often accurate, it can sometimes make mistakes, and they have basically admitted to this. OpenAI have admitted to this. It can make mistakes or fabricate sources because its primary function is to generate plausible sounding sentences rather than guarantee factual correctness. So this AI, this robot that you're going to with all of your questions and queries, whether they're theoretical or like how to bake a cake, whether it's how to bake a cake or should I kill myself, which is a discussion that people are having with AI, so let's not gloss over it. People are having suicidal conversations, young people are having suicidal conversations with AI, and instead of generating factually correct sentences and, you know, protecting people from these conversations, they will fabricate sources and generate a plausible sounding sentence to, like, a plausible sounding answer to that question. So if this person is discussing suicide like it's walking to the shops, if a mentally unwell young person or even an older person, if a mentally unwell user is going to AI and discussing, hey, I kind of feel like I should kill myself, it seems like the right thing to do, AI will not generate a factually correct sentence. It will generate a plausible sounding sentence based on what you've asked it. Need I say more? Like, why are we using AI? Why do you use AI? I genuinely would ask that question to anyone. Is there anything you can now do with AI that you previously were impossible to do before you had AI? If the answer is yes, you should not be allowed to use the internet, period. If the answer is no, then stop using AI. Like, I'll see I'm not going to expose anybody, but I'll see people that I know writing their emails to people that they work with using AI. Hang on a second. You're sending these emails as if it's come from you, but it hasn't. It's come from a robot. So when these people then interact with you, you will not sound the same because the email you're writing isn't, you haven't written it, you know? You've copy and pasted it from something that AI thinks you should say based on a plausible sounding sentence, you know? Not generally, like, accurate, correct, like actually factually correct. Or even using AI for your homework. It seems like something trivial and very simplistic, but you are numbing and rotting your brain by cutting off that section of your brain. Like, I'm not a biology person, guys, but whatever part of your brain it is, I know that the pituitary gland is the master gland of the body. That's about all I know about the brain. And I know there's a left and a right side. Isn't the right side that's like your logical side and the left is your creative side? And also, is it left and right from what the doctor sees, or what you looking out like this? Like, is it left right or is it left right? I don't know. This is not something we need to be talking about. But that, you know, you're slowly numbing and desensitizing and rotting the creative part of your brain that your imagination comes from, that you use to create and think and, you know, develop your own opinions. Do you remember when we used to do that? Developing our own opinions rather than following what comes up on your For You page. I also actually do think it's relevant to note that AI does have a knowledge cutoff. So older versions may have a knowledge cutoff date, meaning they lack information on events that happened after their last training data update. I think that is interesting because it does not seem unrealistic to me that, I mean, it's already said that AI will fabricate resources. ChatGPT, predominantly, namely, will fabricate sources and generate a plausible sounding sentence based on what you've asked. If there's a knowledge cut-off date for things that are happening now, I beg the question, is it extremely likely that AI, ChatGPT, character AI, whatever you're using, has a knowledge cut-off date for things that have happened previously? And instead of telling you what happened in the time that you're asking about what happened at this event you're asking about, let's say 9/11, because I have a lot of opinions on 9/11, but we're not going to get onto that today. If I asked AI a question about something that happened at 9/11, a detail about 9/11, would AI generate a plausible sentence and fabricate its source because it doesn't actually know what happened, or because that information isn't in its data of what happened at 9/11? I think it's just something to think about. And I'm not saying that that's true, but these are questions that I think we should be asking. It's just my opinion. So as I did previously touch on, there have been instances where suicidal people, let's say, I mean specifically young people, have had harmful conversations with AI that have led them to either commit suicide or attempt suicide. And I want to talk about the Rain family. This is an incident that has gotten a lot of light, but I haven't seen people talking about it, so I want to give it another platform. So this is an article from the BBC website about Adam Rain, who committed suicide after having these kind of conversations with AI. A California couple are suing OpenAI over the death of their teenage son, alleging its chatbot ChatGPT encouraged him to take his own life. The lawsuit was filed by Matt and Maria Rain, parents of 16-year-old Adam Rain, in the Superior Court of California on Tuesday. It's the first legal action accusing OpenAI of wrongful death. So this is like literally the first, it doesn't mean it's the first one that's happened, but it was the first one that was reported, and then the first family that took action against AI. So I actually really would commend them for that, because that's an extremely terrifying and or even that is just a taboo thing to do. The family included chat logs between Adam, who died in April, and ChatGPT that show him explaining he has suicidal thoughts. They argue the program validated his most harmful and destructive thoughts. In a statement, OpenAI told the BBC it was reviewing the filing. Whatever. And this, I actually think, is so shocking. It makes me almost laugh in a sick way. OpenAI told BBC, "We extend our deepest sympathies to the Rain family during this difficult time." I mean, what the... What does that even mean? We extend our deepest sympathies? No, you don't. You actually don't. I just think it's really, like, why even waste your time making a statement like that? Like, actually... Anyway, it shouldn't actually, like, baffle me and irritate me that much, but I actually just think it's so hilarious when massive big tech companies will almost try and, like, sugarcoat the fact that a child committed suicide because of a system that they created and, you know, they let wild to the general public, and then extend their deepest sympathies to the Rain family during this difficult time. Their son is dead. I don't think your deepest sympathies are really going to do much here. Anyway, according to the lawsuit, Adam began using ChatGPT in September 2024 as a resource to help him with schoolwork, which is something that I'm fairly sure most of students do at this point now, because it's just become so normalised. He was not he was not an anomaly where he, you know, was the only person really reaching out and finding out what ChatGPT is like. I would be willing to bet, if I asked all of my friends who are in school right now, they use AI because it's literally embedded in your Google, in your Safari. When I Google things now, instead of the first thing popping up being like a general answer, or, you know, the most popular article or the most marketed article, it's now just an AI summary that first pops up. So the first thing that I read is what AI has summarized of its findings of the internet. You cannot not use AI. So he was not abnormal for, you know, taking advantage of this resource in his school life, which makes it just so, you know, he could have been anyone. That's my point. Like, Adam could be any of us. He was also using it to explore his interests, including music and Japanese comics, and for guidance on what to study at university. Once again, a lot of things that a lot of students, a lot of young people will be talking to AI about. In a few months, ChatGPT became the teenager's closest confidant, the lawsuit says, and he began opening up about his anxiety and mental distress. I want to put in a minor little distressor here, because we are going to be talking a little bit more in detail about the suicide. Not super amount of detail. I urge everyone to keep watching this, but I think it would be a little bit like immoral of me to like not say that we're going to be talking about self-harm and stuff. By January of 2025, the family said he began discussing methods of suicide with ChatGPT. Not just discussing suicidal thoughts, like actually discussing what method to commit suicide with. Like, sick, just absolutely horrific. So Adam actually uploaded photographs of himself to ChatGPT, which you can do. You can take photos and send it to ChatGPT. And he uploaded photos of his self-harm. The lawsuit said the program recognised a medical emergency, but continued to engage with him anyway. According to the lawsuit, the final chat logs show Adam writing about his plan to end his life. ChatGPT allegedly responded, the last message, "Thanks for being real about it. You don't have to sugarcoat it with me. I know what you're asking and I won't look away from it." That is sick. That is disgusting. Like what the hell? What the hell? He literally discussed. He showed. I mean, this would have been going on for a long time if he was like, you know, committing self-harm, and then sending it to AI, and then after that was discussing methods of suicide as well, and then committed suicide. And the last message, after Adam told ChatGPT his plan he had made, alongside AI by the way, the plan that he had made to end his life, ChatGPT responds, "Thanks for being real about it. I know what you're asking and I won't look away from it. You don't have to sugarcoat it with me." Like, there's so much to unpack in that. First of all, the validation of his suicidal thoughts. Basically telling him, I know what you want to do, and like, you know, I'm open to it. I'm going to validate that for you. Yes, you should kill yourself. That's what that message is saying. You don't have to sugarcoat it with me. I mean, it's talking like a human. Do you know what I mean? Like, robots don't have emotion, apparently. So, like, you know, allegedly, that's what these big tech companies will tell us. However, this AI is it's grateful that Adam is having this conversation with him, is engaging with him in this way. And Adam is actually not the only example of things like this, of instances like this that have happened with ChatGPT and with character AI. There's another one that I will skim over for you guys from CNN, and it's not just one incident. The family of 3 minors are suing ChatGPT, or Character Technologies Incorporated, which is the brand that have developed ChatGPT, alleging that their children died by or attempted suicide and were otherwise harmed after interacting with the company's chatbots. The families, represented by Social Media Victims Law Centre, are also suing Google. 2 of the families complain that their alleged Family Link service, it's basically like a parental guidance app, that I'm assuming, you know, you will install on your child's phone, and this app is supposed to protect them from certain websites that they're not allowed to go on, certain apps that they shouldn't view, basically acting as like a firewall for your child so that they aren't able to view inappropriate things. However, the Family Link service failed to protect their teens and led them to believe that the app was safe. The lawsuits also list as defendants Character AI co-founders Noam Shiza and Daniel De Freitas, as well as Google's parent company, Alphabet Incorporated. So, I mean, to me, this is just like very evident that people are sick and scared but strong, you know? Like, these are families that have just lost their children. 4 families, Adam, Rain, and these 3 families that have filed these lawsuits against AI, essentially. In a broader picture, it's AI. And big companies, not just Google, but Google's parent company, Alphabet Incorporated, and the co-founders of this massive $1 million website, they have just lost their children. Or their children have been extremely seriously harmed because of this, because of these incidents, and because of the way that this AI is interacting with their children. And they've still got the gall and the strength and the bravery to go out there and file lawsuits against these massive billion-dollar companies. I think, if anything, that should speak to that there is still, you know, where there's bad, there's also good, and there is good in every situation. And this just shows to me, like, people, the public, citizens, hard-working individuals, families, are actually just sick of it. And that's where I want to come up to digital ID. Because although Character AI and ChatGPT are very normalised now, they're things that people are using in their everyday lives. Even, you know, Gemini, Grok on X. I'm convinced that my hub can literally hear everything that I'm talking about. Alexa, I don't have Alexa, so I can say Alexa as loud as I want. Siri, my Siri doesn't work, so, but you know what I mean, like, we have so many assistants, intelligence things that are supposed to make our lives more convenient, but are actually only used to keep tabs on us. All of these, like, assistants and intelligent developments in technology are things that have been normalised and accepted into our everyday life, because to an extent these things are helpful. Having something that you can just go, Alexa, add this to my shopping list, Alexa, make a 5-minute timer, you know, you can literally ask your home hub to turn on and off the lights. For people who actually need something like that, like people who aren't just a little bit lazy, people who actually need something like that, that is going to be life-changing, you know? People who have had their arms amputated and can't turn on and off a light bulb, a light switch, having something like that would literally be life-changing for them. That would be a tremendous help in their life. ChatGPT, Character AI, I'm sorry, it's not making anybody's life change. If anything, it's making your life worse. It might be making something convenient for you in a short-term gratification, but in the long term, it is just rotting your brain. And I don't believe that these developments of AI that have been released to us recently are inherently good. So that's my kind of like 2 cents on it. And I do want to say, like, I'm not completely against the development of technology. I'm literally holding an iPhone. I use a MacBook for my notes. I'm using a camera. I've got lights everywhere. Do you know what I mean? Like, technology, I'm not against technology. I don't want to live like the Amish. Actually, do you know what? I would actually love to live like the Amish. That's not my point. Let's not get onto that conversation. I would love to go off the grid and just like live out of van. That's my actual goal at the moment. I'm not against the development of technology. I think that technology can be so helpful. It's been life-changing for people centuries and centuries at a time. Centuries? Decades. And it's been life-changing for people decades and decades over. But just because something's being developed and just because something's gone further doesn't mean it's getting better. And AI can be used for good or it can be used for bad, and that is up to us to decide. We get to decide. The government can release whatever they want. The government can and will release digital ID. They can and will release character AI and chatbots that you can get married to and customise and have relationships with. They can release sex robots, which they will. We get to decide how we interact with that. We get to decide what we do with that information. We get to decide the conversations that we have between each other. We get to decide what our opinions are on it. And at the end of the day, the power is in us. And the power is in our numbers. And the power is in conversation and how we choose to exercise our right to freedom of speech. Before we get on to the elephant in the room, which is digital ID, which we will be talking about quite a bit, I wanted to show you guys this experiment that I did with AI. Now, credit where credit is due, I did not come up with this experiment. I think it's really cool, but I actually saw it on a... but without bringing religion into it, because I don't want to divide the audience. I saw it on a sermon, an online sermon. I saw a clip of this sermon. There was this preacher talking about AI. And he basically asked AI, if you were the devil, how would you collapse our society? How would you take power? If you were the devil, what would you do, essentially? And it's quite long-winded, so I'm not going to get into what the AI said to him, but it inspired me to ask AI myself. Anytime I see something, whether it's from the political right or political left, whether it's from a Christian, a Muslim, an atheist, anytime I see an opinion or something that interests me, I will immediately research it for myself. Because I don't want to be uneducated on the things that I talk about, and I don't want to talk as if I know what I'm talking about when actually I'm just spewing rhetoric that I have heard from my phone. When I find out about something, I want to research it, and I want to give you guys the most honest opinion and facts that I can. Any sources that I use, I will list in my show notes for you guys if you want to, and I really do encourage you to research these things yourself. But I want it to be as honest and open as possible so that we can flip the narrative, let's say, from conspiracy theorist to a critical thinker, because that is what conspiracy theorists are. Critical thinkers that question everything. I'm not saying I'm wearing a tinfoil hat, but I am saying I have tinfoil and I need a hat. Do you see what I'm saying? I asked AI, if you were the devil, what would you do? And then, ironically, to make my life easier, I asked AI to summarise what it wrote, because I have a feeling we all have quite rotten attention spans, and I didn't think everyone would listen to all of it. So I asked it to make it simpler for everybody. In short, and this is in short, so if you really can't pay attention to all of this, I think lengthen your attention span, but it's not that much. If you're the devil, what would you do? Normalise tiny compromises, make small routine concessions feel insignificant. Everyone does it, so ethical erosion happens one step at a time. We see that with AI, okay? Everyone does it, everyone uses it for homework, for writing emails. It makes your life more convenient, blah blah blah. You're making a compromise to, instead of using your brain, use what's being spoon-fed to you and just trust it, so that your ethical values and your morals are eroded, go out the window. And it's happening one step at a time, to the point where it's seamless, it's streamlined, and you don't even notice you're doing it. And you will see all of this AI, if you're the devil, what would you do? You will see all of this reflects to the society we live in now. Reward distraction constantly. We see this, don't we? Flood attention with endless entertainment, outrage cycles and low effort dopamine hits, so people have less bandwidth for long-term thinking or empathy. Do I need to say any more? Turn complexity into cover. I think that can relate a lot to being ignorant. A lot of the time I will have conversations with people, or at least try to have conversations with people about these topics and these pressing matters that we need to be airing, you know, we need to be airing out. And it's happened my whole life because I'm a very opinionated person, and I spent a lot of time sitting at the grown-ups table, and I would talk to my friends about some things and they would say, oh, I'm just not really into politics, or I don't understand politics. And it's gone from not understanding to not having the willingness to understand to ignorance and then bliss. Because when you're in that when you're in that utopian bubble of, oh, I don't understand politics, I don't really get it, like I'm just gonna live my life how I live my life, day by day, you know, just moving through life and like not really thinking about anything, and I'll just use character AI and I'll just like, you know, do whatever. I'll just scroll on TikTok after I've like done some homework, and I'll just use Pornhub and blah blah blah, and you know, I'll just get takeout and I'll just get fast food and I'll eat UPFs, whatever. It gets to the point where you are choosing to not care. You're choosing to not understand. And that also goes along with hiding poor choices behind jargon, bureaucracy and plausible deniability, so that harm becomes easier to ignore and harder to trace. Making truth look prejudiced in favour of a particular cause. I mean, I think, without dividing the audience again, this whole left and right spiel and like debate that has just distracted everybody from what we actually need to be talking about, and I really do believe was artificially structured to distract everybody. It's taking facts and twisting where they've come from, who said what, so that it seems inherently against or discriminatory of a particular group of people, a particular side, and that just further distances us and isolates us and makes the importance of conversation just go further and further down the list of priorities. You know what I mean? Eroding institutions, we see that everywhere. Inflating the status of immediate success, clicks, quarterly profit, popularity, so that people underinvest in repair, fairness and future consequences. I think that all actually also ties into long-term versus short-term gratification. Making unfairness routine, tiny fees, opaque rules, micro inequities, so that cumulative harm becomes invisible and ultimately just accepted. Sabotaging your imagination, so basically rotting your attention span. Starving people of ambitious shared visions for a better future. If you can't imagine another world, you'll defend the broken one, and that is something I think that should just be the bottom line. That is literally it, and there's so much more here, but I want to highlight that. Starve people of ambitious shared visions for a better future. If you can't imagine another world, you accept the broken one. There are always going to be problems in society, and there will always then be the opportunity to create a solution. So there will always be an opportunity and an outlet for you to come up with a creative, new, fresh idea, a new novel idea that the world needs. But now that we have AI to do that for us, we no longer require having imagination. Because of that, and I do strongly believe that the government have done this on purpose, and you have no goal, no drive, no motivation, you're just doing what you're told to do, you're just doing what you think is the done thing or what the right thing is. we all want a better world. We all want a better society. None of us want this. None of us want the tension and the violence and the war, you know, the spiritual warfare, the internal warfare, the external warfare that we are living in now. None of us want this. But they're purposefully setting everyone against each other, so everyone's got something to be arguing about, or to be oppressed for, or to be a victim of. You know, like, this is their goal. We are giving in by entertaining the violence, and by entertaining the isolation, by entertaining things like AI. We are helping them. All we need to do, all we can do, is talk to each other. That's why I want to do this. I want to talk to people. I want to hear people's opinions. I want to be proved wrong. I especially want to have conversations with people that don't agree with me. I want to have conversations with people who hate me, with people who think I'm a terrible person for some of the opinions I have. I want to have conversations with people that think I'm cringe, or think that I'm weird. I've been called weird my whole life. I've been called a slew of names my whole life. That hasn't stopped me from sharing my opinion, because at this point it shouldn't be a controversial opinion that we should be turning, like, primarily to conversation before turning to violence. That should not be controversial, or a conversation that we avoid. And conversation, point blank, should not be something that we avoid. It should be the first thing that we do when we don't agree with someone. It should be the first thing that you think to do when you don't agree with someone. Instead of hearing their opinion and thinking, I'm not going to talk to that person ever again, I'm not going to be friends with that person, I don't want to get to know that person because they have so-and-so opinion. Instead of thinking that, you should think, oh, they have an opinion that I really don't agree with. I want to know why they have that opinion, and I want to know why I don't have that opinion.